Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the Wrestling Inc. podcast with round two. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties, but we are back live. Myself, I'm Raj Giri. I'm here with former TNA and WWE superstar Matt Morgan. Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Raj. I'm doing well. Tonight's show is Back to the Future episode. I feel like we should have seen this, like I said earlier, 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. We'll get into it, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was a lot of filler. Raw up against some really tough competition tonight. They're predicting Super Bowl like numbers for the presidential debate tonight, like upwards to like 100 million people. So it's definitely it is a very good chance this is going to be the lowest rated Raw in history. And it was kind of treated as such, but. Yeah. But first, Matt, I know you had something you wanted to plug.
Yeah, real quick. I just you posted it on your site earlier. Everybody already knows about it. But the big news today, outside of WWE, is the Academy School of Professional Wrestling. It's a new wrestling school opened up by Ken Anderson as well as Sean Davari. They'll be opening their doors physically November 1st of 2016. Anybody that's serious about getting into wrestling, it's like I said earlier, you want to go somewhere where people are respected. They've been there. They've done that. They have the connections, more importantly, to get you called up if you're ready one day. And that's what both of these guys have, and then some, besides the wealth of knowledge that they obviously both have and the respect that they've earned. If you are serious about becoming a professional wrestler and you want to go to one of the top tier schools in the country, hands down, definitely check out www.theacademyprowrestling.com. Or you could telephone call them at 507-722-2776. Or hit them up on email, theacademyprowrestling@gmail.com. Guys, I promise you within the next year, this will be considered one of the top 3 schools in all of the country, hands down, guaranteed it.
And man, so I take it they'll be teaching promos and stuff like that too.
Oh my God, yeah! You met Ken Anderson teaching you promos.
And Davari's very underrated on promos. I mean,
yes.
he was a beast back in the day. I mean, he was awesome.
Sean is somebody I've always credited as the smartest man. I swear to God, he was one of the smartest people business-wise I've ever worked with. He had politics. He understood everything, and at such an early age, he understood the business upside down, inside out better than I did in just his first year. He was like, I want to say like 21 or something like that. And he had such a great grasp of knowledge for this business.
Yeah. It was too bad he got lumped up in that one angle because he definitely has and still has a ton of potential. So yeah. I'm looking, and I'm gonna definitely try to talk to those guys more about the school and get more information about it. But we got some details up on Wrestling Inc. About the school, so definitely check it out. Back to Raw. Mm-hmm. It felt like a 4th of July episode. Just kind of keeping things in place, not much happening. The show opened with Roman Reigns as the new U.S. champion. Came out to a loud reaction, mostly boos. He's facing Rusev, no real build for this match. And they went long. I mean, they went 30 minutes. There was a couple of commercial breaks during the match. And then they go 30 minutes, and it ends in a double disqualification. So just a cop-out ending, a way to kill time. Matt, what were your thoughts?
I love watching these two go. It can get a little long in the tooth because we've seen it so many times. But tonight, I felt they did give us a little something different toward the end. I wasn't necessarily ecstatic about the finish. It is a cop out, but the live crowd for some reason went absolutely ape crap over the fact that they fought outside the ring and went over when Rusev took the clothesline over the barricade. They lost their the crowd, and it made it more exciting to watch as a viewer, I thought. But again, Rusev is so damn talented. I can't keep saying that enough about him. He is so good. And we talk about Reigns every week. He's as solid as they get in the ring, and I don't know why he keeps getting the "you can't wrestle" heat that he gets when he can clearly go.
Yeah, I think it's just fans are just used to it, and that it's just clouding their judgment because he can go in the ring for sure, and we'll get to this later, but I mentioned it last night with Seth Rollins. I don't feel like Seth Rollins has really looked himself since his injury, since coming back. His matches just haven't been at the level that they were before.
Yeah, that's a good call. I noticed. Yeah, I'm noticing it with how he's carrying himself too. And I don't know if that I know it's two different things: working in the ring and being hurt, and then how you carry yourself, promo wise and body language wise, outside of the ring. But his body language is different as well.
Yeah,
it's definitely different. You know.
Yeah, and he's not necessarily being booked the strongest, but we'll get to that. They showed that WWE 2K17 commercial, and these are just fantastic. This was the same one they aired during the pay-per-view. That's like the one they did with Sting last year, and they're just awesome. This one, this reminded me of like a weird dream, the way they shot it, and like how it went in and out.
It had an Arkham Asylum Batman video game vibe to it at first. I dug it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it was very cool. Very Suicide Squad-ish, but
yes, that's what I'm looking for. Yes,
yeah. They did a Cesaro Sheamus promo, and I swear the creative team stole this idea from Glenn. Sheamus and Cesaro were doing, they're kind of doing the whole "I know you are, but what am I" promo. Yeah. They're talking about who's better, and then Mick Foley announced that he doesn't want them to wrestle again because he's afraid that one of them won't be able to wrestle again. And so instead they're going to be teaming up for the WWE tag team titles. And Glenn joked about it last week, saying that'd be funny if they took it in this direction. And here you go. That's what they're doing.
Worst of all, okay. Worst in all of that is that Mick Foley with a straight face had to be paid a large sum of money to say these next words that I'm about to say. You two are the greatest superstars we have. He called them the greatest superstars on the roster twice.
Yeah.
Not his favorite, the greatest. And he reiterated it again. What the freak?
Yeah. Foley, man, I love Foley, but being the GM on the Stephanie McMahon show, and we'll talk about this later, isn't doing him any favors. And B, he just feels like he needs to do this emotional promo every week, and instead of saving it for like the big for the big angles, and I feel like it's getting a little long in the tooth. But so we had that. Next we had New Day versus Gallows and Anderson. This seemed like just a kind of a replay of last night. I thought the match was very good actually, but it was New Day again beating Gallows and Anderson. Kofi got busted open hard. I missed it. I think he hit the steps or the ring post.
Yeah, he did.
And like I said, good match. Kofi at the end pinned Anderson to win the match. Anderson, I swear, every match with these guys that they lose, it's always Anderson taking the pin. Matt, what'd you think?
It's always going to be that way. Gallows is the bigger guy. Then as soon as they break up into singles, it's going to be Gallows that right now that they're going to see more money, and just because of size alone. I'm not saying that's how it's going to turn out, but that's generally how it always works. The smaller guy takes the pin usually. But that said, I guess we'll get into it. But like, I want to see. I'm telling you right now, Sheamus, all right, and Cesaro versus Anderson and Gallows is exactly what Anderson and Gallows need. You know what I'm saying? Like I want that. Not this other Fruit Loop, like I don't even know, Laffy Taffy lollipop tag act of New Day. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something that could feel a lot more serious, even though they're doing the odd couple gimmick with Cesaro and Sheamus. But it would be a hard hitting match with those guys.
And that's going to help them get more. They'll definitely help them get reestablished. Those two, Anderson and Gallows, in my opinion.
But they're not going that way. I don't know where they go with Gallows and Anderson now. Like I said, I feel like they should have had the tag team division on SmackDown and the women's division on Raw, because they don't have enough talent in either of those for really a whole division, in my opinion.
True. No, you're right.
So you got the Shining Stars, and I'm sure I'm missing one or two more, but it's just not very deep. Yeah. So. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it's like, really quick, back to Gallows and Anderson when they first came in. Okay, I know Sheamus and Cesaro were nowhere near becoming a tag, but those two guys would have been perfect at that time when they first came in, and it'd be established as these badass ass kickers that be two established, known for being two hard nosed badasses, ass in the ring, and moving on to the next tier of tag team. Right, then you have we'll get to it once we get to the match. You can continue.
All right. Next we had Bailey versus Anna Fields. Just a squash match, and I thought this was great. I think Bailey, could use this. It gets her character over, introduces her to the fans, and it gives her a win. And definitely better used on her than a Bo Dallas, in my opinion.
Raj, this was I was waiting for you to lead into this one. This was the second one of the night, the second match of the night that should have happened 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. This should have been Bailey's debut. Do you remember when she came out and her debut was was it for Sasha, I believe? Or Dana Brooke, in a very competitive match. It went back and forth, and it went way too long, and Dana was not the right person to be her first opponent. This should have been her first opponent, okay? Not because she's just gonna big tough, giant versus the local jobber and just squash him, but because of how organically over she gets, kissing all the kids, hugging all the kids, doing her shtick, getting in the ring, getting her act over, and then go from there. Tonight's match should have been her debut.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And yeah, she won. Cut a little promo after the match. I missed what she said. Do you remember what she said?
Yeah, about the two measure. Yeah, two girls right now. The two measuring sticks are Sasha and Charlotte, and but no matter what, she promises that at the end of the day she's gonna be beating them both, come hell or high water, something like that, to paraphrase, something to that effect. And then the announcers really put it over, like, if you know her from NXT, she doesn't give up and she lives up to what she says, and that thing.
Well, that's great. And keep her away from that title picture for now, and do more stuff like this, and you're good to go.
That girl needs to eat a sandwich, by the way, really quick. The girl she was in the ring with has got to lift a weight. Just lift one. Lift one. You
think she was 100 pounds?
No way. Yeah. Bailey is skinny in person. So that's all I kept telling my wife. I was like, Bailey's skinny. What? This girl's got to be 80 pounds.
Jeez.
And tall at that.
Yeah. Yeah, she needs some calories. Backstage segment. Oh man, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for. Mick Foley questioning Stephanie McMahon about saying, about Stephanie, telling Triple H that the night went well last night at Clash of Champions, and man, Stephanie dressed Foley down something fierce, like you haven't seen in a while. Man, and Foley is basically playing the idiot. Has to play naive, keeps believing Stephanie, and then basically apologizes and says he wants to keep his job. Like, man, Daniel Bryan's so lucky he's on SmackDown, because, geez, they just can't help themselves.
Oh, the emasculation. How long have we gone without a good Stephanie McMahon emasculation hour? How long has it been?
It hasn't been as brutal as tonight for a couple weeks, but tonight was one of the harsher ones that I can remember.
Uncomfortable, and not in a wow, she's a really good heel type of way. In the like, come on.
This does nothing for Foley. He as the baby face, he should be there to kind of add credibility to that show, but instead he's looking like an idiot. He's naive. He keeps falling for Stephanie's smack talk, and then he gets dressed down and looking like a chump. So there you go.
100%.
Felt bad for his character. Next up, we had a cruiserweight tag team match, which I thought was really cool. They did a lot of cool stuff in it. Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann against Drew Gulak and Lince Dorado. So I found out the ring ropes, what they do is they tape them up to that orange color between breaks. So they're not like replacing the ropes, because that would take a while.
You're saying that they tape them?
Yeah, so they just wrap them in tape, and I guess they just unwind it.
That's not much fast. No, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
There's got to be a way they're doing it fast that we don't know. We got to figure this out, because that is something I'm interested in, actually.
Yeah, so you guys that are listening, if you're at a Raw taping, videotape it when they do it next time. Rich Swann got the pin. It was a fun match. Didn't mean anything. Again, I feel like they need to get these characters over more. But the match itself, I thought was good.
Yeah, it was exciting. I enjoyed the match itself, but like the first 3 seconds I was telling you and Russo about last night, you have those first 3 seconds to come out and captivate the crowd at home watching on television, to the television audience at home. And I didn't see even Swan, who was incredibly charismatic. I just, if I'm clicking through the channels, I'm not stopping. You know, you don't got to be a bodybuilder. I'm not saying that. So before people start crying like, oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying something, and that's not their fault. You know, physically, yes, it is. They can be in better shape, but that's where the character needs to be. You know.
And I think, you know, when WCW first introduced the cruiserweights, they'd have them as the opening match, and that's when the crowd was really hot. Like they were just ready for something. So the crowd was really hot, and they'd get really into those moves. Whereas now you're putting it farther into the show. They don't know who these guys are. Right. They get into the match eventually, but I just feel like with the pacing and everything, it just would do it better to have it on earlier.
So that's a great point, especially about the WCW cruiserweights. You're right. You know, I wasn't into them when I was a fan. I did like the bigger guys. Obviously, that's what I liked. But the cruiserweights I would react to because they were on early, and I was excited to watch the show. You know, but real quick, what I said was a few weeks ago with the cruiserweight division, they need to be very careful with is stop lumping them all together. You know, and I said, I guarantee you within a week, 2-3 weeks, they're going to be treated just like the women's division. They're going to lump 6 storylines together, 7, 10 storylines together in one match called a Battle Royal. You know, they weren't that far off. I was pleasantly surprised at the end of the night that we got another match.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong. I'm hoping I am. I need to be wrong about this because this show needs to be different.
Yeah, I think that was more just to add extra filler because they don't want to put anything real on tonight. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how they treat it next week. But I'm not impressed with how they're rolling out the cruiserweight division. But I thought the matches tonight were really good. You got a backstage promo with TJ Perkins. Man, this guy on the mic just kills me.
I'm searching for anything to say good. TJ, I was thinking, like, what can I say positive to Raj on the show today about him? Because all these fans that I talked on Twitter, they love TJ Perkins. And I'm like, all right, here's what it is. He's got a pretty dope pair of Jordan 31 USA jeans that I'm wearing right now. That's it. That's all I got. I mean, some of his moves are cool, but his gear is indie-rific as hell.
Oh, gosh. His gear, his promos. And then you have Kendrick, you know, Brian Kendrick comes in, and Brian Kendrick just, I mean, as far as a promo and as a personality, he just dwarfs Perkins, in that promo. So they had Kendrick cut off Perkins pretty quick. So I think they don't have much faith in Perkins' promo ability because they haven't really given him any time on Raw. On the flip side, next you had Charlotte. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Got to earn it. You got the opportunity. You got to earn it. Vince once told me that's $1 million per minute you get that he could be given toward advertisers or your promo.
Absolutely. And you look at AJ Styles, they wouldn't really give him that promo time at the beginning, and he earned it. You know,
definitely.
He took advantage. And on the flip side, next you had Charlotte come out. I thought she had a great promo. I feel like her promos just get better by the week. She's so comfortable as a heel. Sasha Banks came out. Noted that Charlotte didn't pin her last night, and she wanted her one-on-one rematch. So this feud must continue.
Will this what's the upcoming pay-per-view?
Hell in a Cell.
Will they put 2 girls in one? Is that against PG? Is that against any of their new rules? Or
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that I could see them doing that. Just saying how trend-setting they are.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I would love to see it. I just hope we can get there, that they build toward it, and that's,
Yeah. I don't know.
Because they could pull it off. You're right. They could do some cool things, dude.
Yeah. And it would because this feud's been going on forever, so that would be a good place to have like the climax. Even though I'm sure it'll probably still continue if Sasha wins again.
Sure.
But yeah, I thought this promo was very good. I thought Charlotte was great.
Money, like you said, she's progressively getting, she's getting better each and every week, and I'll be honest, it takes those F-ups to get to this point. You've got to, I always say this to you, Raj, you got to figure out who you are as a man or a woman before you can figure out who you are as a character in that ring, and that takes us forever. And the quickest way we can get there is getting more and more mic time. So they stuck with her. She had some hard times, you remember, right? And I always thought she was pretty good at NXT in promos. I don't know what was going on with Raw. Honestly, I had no excuse for her. Now she's finally starting to hit on all cylinders, and it takes that. It takes those flubs, those mess ups, those trying new things, stepping on your own pop sometimes. It takes all these mess ups to get to that place. That's why I've been hoping Roman, what would happen with Roman come promo wise as well, eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Next, we had a backstage promo with Seth Rollins telling Kevin Owens that he was going to go interfere in the highlight reel segment, basically. So Foley tried to stop him and got torn down again, this poor guy. Rollins said he sees Foley's lips moving, but he hears Stephanie's words coming out of his mouth, walked off. Foley just kind of stood there looking sad.
This is, Raj, where Seth needs to be selfish. He needs to play, I've got to do what I got to do to get myself over right now. This is not the time to quote unquote, literally verbatimly say what the writers are writing for him. They do not know how to write for a cool baby face. This is very apparent, right? So he by all, all my friends that are friends with him and know him, by everything I hear, this dude is a pretty funny kid, pretty cool, very humble, but also has some edge to him, has a little bit of edge to him. He just needs to be himself and cut this crap out with relying, not wanting to upset the writers or whatever it is that he's doing, because I think he was great on the mic. I know many people it wasn't their cup of tea as a heel. I liked him on the mic. He was getting better and better. So now this is a new gear for him that he's got to figure out, but he cannot figure it out by relying on the writers and saying what they're writing, because they say the corniest things and they do nothing but bury the babyface. Even with at the end of the show, which I'm sure we'll get into, with him leaving off stage with his tail between his legs.
Yes.
That is not how you get.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. That drove me nuts. They shouldn't have had him appear at all. I mean, he's got the rib injury. If he can't do anything, don't have him appear, or have him arrested. That at least it makes it look like he had no choice, that he couldn't go out. Rollins, he's the one that he turned babyface. You need to give him some steam. And every week, Kevin Owens is just ripping into him and saying all this stuff that's true. And Rollins gets no receipt, doesn't get to respond back.
Exactly. And I can hear mini Vince Russo on my live show right now going, bro, you think Stone Cold would do that? You think Stone Cold would just walk off stage, bro? No, you're right, Vince. He wouldn't. No self-respecting babyface would. You're damn right. He would have, done whatever he needed to do to get past those guys, or the very, famous scene of him being arrested and going off in one of the coolest angles, that we had ever seen. Stone Cold being carted off in the, cop car, looked like a total badass. I know it's been done a bunch of times, but something to protect your babyface.
Yeah. This was brutal. I feel bad for the guy, because he could have been the hottest babyface when he came back, and they just squandered that. TJ Perkins versus Brian Kendrick for the title was announced for next. Was it Brian Kendrick that they announced for next week?
Next Monday Night Raw.
Monday night, yeah. But next up, we had TJ Perkins versus Tony Nese. I know a lot of people like the Nintendo Game Boy entrance that he has, but I just can't take it seriously. Yeah, there are people that are.
To all of you that like that entrance, not the wrestler, but the entrance. All right, I want to hear about it on my Twitter, because actually, no, I don't. Stay away from my Twitter. You guys have got to get laid or something different. I don't know what, but that's not cool. There's nothing cool about that, guys. There's nothing badass about that. There's nothing superhero-y about that. There's nothing good about that. And
if that wasn't bad enough, he's doing the dab. Even Cam Newton won't do the dab anymore. And TJ seems like he's a year too late.
Hashtag jump the shark. Yes.
I will say this: the match was very good. The fans didn't think so. They were chanting CM Punk. They were like totally disrespected this match.
Randy Savage? What was that? What was a Randy Savage chant for? Just because?
Was there a Randy Savage chant?
Yes.
I was trying to listen to the debate and this at the same time, which can be challenging. But yeah, so Perkins won by submission. Match I thought was very good. I thought it was better than Perkins' match last night against Kendrick.
Can I ask you this? Between the two guys, if you're clicking through the channels and you stopped, who looked like more of a star? Who looked more like a star between the two wrestlers? Tony Nese or the other guy?
Right.
Tony Nese did. Tony Nese looks like an athlete. He might be short. Go
ahead. Do you remember when Owen Hart and Coco Beware were in that tag team?
Yeah.
TJ Perkins looks like he would have been a member of that group, with the big floppy pants.
Yeah. Yep.
But, I just don't think TJ. I just don't think that look is doing it for him.
He's got to change something. I don't know what it is. Put a suicide mask on. I don't know anything.
Yeah, man. All of a sudden, the manic gimmick isn't looking so bad.
Right.
Yeah. And then the kind of the end of the show, we got the highlight reel. Kevin Owens, here's what I was talking about earlier. Kevin Owens just ripping into Seth Rollins. He's kind of using a lot of the criticism that Rollins has been getting online, saying he's the most dangerous man in wrestling, pointing out that he injured Sting, John Cena, and Finn Balor. The internet wrestling community, they follow this, so they know all that, but it seems like that would have been something better to explain to the people at home, because the people at home don't know that Sting didn't come back because he was injured by Seth Rollins, and they probably forgot about John Cena.
Yep.
But so it seemed like that would have been something that they could have played up on commentary or something.
But Raj, to the common fan, though, the common fan, in my opinion, would take that as what Kevin at the end of it was trying to get to, is that he's a bigger badass because he hurt the other badass,
right,
who hurt 3 other badasses, yada yada yada. But yeah, he's pointing out things again that are true, and it's something you're supposed to be able to protect your baby face. Even as a heel, you get yourself over great, but you don't do it at the expense of the baby face, especially one that you're trying to make money with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so here we go again. Owens just ripped Rollins. Everything he said was true. And Rollins comes out and, they come out to stop him, and they stop him. He just goes back to the back, and that was it. Like I said, I think it just would have been better not have him on the show at all. They mentioned his rib injury. That could have been enough, because I thought this made him just look weak.
He walked off unmolested. He walked off stage untouched. Like when he walked to the back, when they showed him walking to the back, nobody else was near him. Right. I might have seen a finger in the background pointing to him. That's about it.
Yeah. And again, I understand you got the rib injury, but then don't put him on TV.
Don't.
So Owens is continuing. Enzo and Cass come out. They had new mics, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, Enzo should have had that only, in my opinion. But
yeah, that's true. I agree with that. Okay. So they're out. Bada bing, bada boom. We got a tag team match, and it's Big Cass and Enzo versus Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. And that was your main event. The match itself, I don't know. I thought Owens looked good, but other than that, this match didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, this was another Back to the Future angle. I said I wanted to see when they first came up. They being Zoe and Big Cass. That the makeshift at the time tag team of Jericho. They had a couple between the two, Jericho and KO, would have been perfect for these two. And at least they're there now, but some of the damage has been done already to these, up-and-coming baby faces before they got to the dance, because they got thrown in the dreaded cyclone of, drumroll please, come on.
That's as good as I got.
Booty-O's cartoon, Laffy Taffy, Lollipop, tag team champions of the world. Good Lord. Anyways, so you're right. The match was what it was. And Kevin Owens, they did not do him any type of service by letting him. I get he wasn't expecting a match, so he's wrestling in his street clothes, but he always looks like he's wrestling in his street clothes. Tonight was like a step down from wrestling in his street clothes, I thought.
Yeah.
Wearing my dad's sweatpants and shoes that he cuts the lawn in. Wrestling as a heavyweight champion, like I'm the biggest KO fan. I love that he's the champion, but they have got to protect him, whether it's from himself or coming up with something. I'm not saying you got to change his act. His act is awesome. His act is money. I love him. His gear, something about it has got to change.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the guys like Bam Bam Bigelow or Big Boss Man. They weren't ripped by any means, but they had a ring outfit that went with their character, and it didn't make them look not like a star, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's you're exactly right. That's exactly right. Yep, perception is reality, and you're clicking through the channels and you stop. And it's coming from a fan of KO. I love watching him.
I do too. I mean, I've argued with Vince about this a lot, but I think Owens is awesome. But I do agree when someone that doesn't watch wrestling is with me and they see him,
Yeah.
Anyway, Owens picks up the win after a power bomb on Enzo. Enzo, man, I don't. it's always Enzo taking the pin. I get why it's always the smaller guy.
They teased us though tonight with putting the heat on Cass early on. Did you see that?
Right? Yeah. That's true. What do you do with Enzo and Cass? Because they're over with the crowd, but with the roster so thin, it just doesn't feel like they're being utilized to the way where they're really needed right now, where they could be helping out.
Here's how they look at it. They look at it as that massive pop they got tonight, interrupting Jericho. Okay, that's how the writers look at it. Go, oh, see, this worked perfect. They weren't expecting them to be on the show, and they got me too. I was like, hold up, these two aren't even on the show tonight. What time is it? And then boom, there they were. What they need to be careful of, more importantly, I don't know if you caught this, Raj, was Big Cass. Vince always talks about making sure everything's consistent. Don't insult the fans' intelligence. Well, they insulted the hell out of ours tonight by Big Cass saying that, on Mick Foley's way back through the back, he stopped and told us we have a match tonight. Really? Because I saw Mick's fat butt walking off stage still while your music hit. Right. So unless he yelled it over your music as you walked right past him for that 0.5 seconds, no. You know what I mean? That's the continuity they need to be careful of. I don't know if Mick was just taking a sweet ass time getting off stage, or he forgot about what was supposed to happen storyline wise.
Right.
But nah.
but even then, these impromptu matches, they just don't make much sense. Like they're just randomly gonna figure out to interrupt a promo, and they get permission all in the 3 minutes that these guys are in the ring cutting a promo. I don't know. I like a little more reality in wrestling, and this doesn't have it.
No, and this what this was, Raj. This was just a way to get them on TV, put them in a favorable position to get that pop at the end of the night. They still think that they're getting that team more over by doing so, but they're not. They don't understand that yet for some reason. And then you have Jericho. You have the opportunity to see the champion wrestle again tonight. You know what I mean? Maybe not singles, but nonetheless, he did.
Right, Matt. I wanted to ask you this: when you were with WWE, how many writers did they have back then?
I remember only 5 or 6. And like for SmackDown, it was the main one was David Lagana.
He's with TNA now.
As well as then Stephanie was still really, Stephanie was Stephanie, but she was, as far as writers go, she was the head of writer, but Dave Lagana was more of a go-to. I believe Ed Koski was right under him at the time. I could be wrong. He wasn't.
And Raw was completely separate at that time.
Yeah, and Brian Gewirtz was over there. Yeah.
How closely did they work with talents on their promos and things like that?
I almost always thought that they had to like you. Do you know what I mean? I always thought like Dave or some of the writers almost had to like have almost like either you're brand new and they're willing to help you, or they saw something in you and they'd want to pull you aside and maybe help you a little bit. For instance, on a complete when I was doing my stuttering character, that was 100% Vince. The other writers didn't like it. Like Dave, Brian, they were like, I don't know why you would agree, kind of thing to me. And so long story short, like Vince would literally be behind the camera in every one of my promos, every single one of them, working very closely, right? Because he was invested in it. It was his gimmick. But like for the other writers, if it was something that was their idea, they definitely were behind the camera. And the higher up the card you were, definitely they had a lot more to do with those promos. As far as working with you, Dave Lagana would come down to OVW and work with some of us. Now NXT is completely different, obviously, from OVW, so I'm not sure how they do it now. But being that there's so many writers now, I can't imagine that any of these writers have any kind of emotional investment in the talent because there's so many of them. And they just do whatever the boss says now anyway, even more than they did when I was there.
Right.
So I can imagine that they're spending that much time emotionally invested in these guys and working with them like in between, and not just because it's their job. That's the difference.
Right. And I want to ask you about Hell in the Cell, your predictions on what they should do, and also about some of the changes going on with TNA. But before we get to that, you got to talk about DDP Yoga. DDP Yoga would change countless lives. I mean, some of the guys you saw tonight, Mick Foley, Chris Jericho, and many others. Many guys of the current roster, guys from the past, have benefited immensely from it. Guys like Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Chris Jericho. And now DDP Yoga has taken it to another level with the DDP Yoga Now app on iOS and Android devices. So you have no excuse because you can take it anywhere. DDP Yoga Now subscribers won't get tired of doing the same workouts over again because they've added completely new DDP Yoga 2.0 workouts, weekly live workouts from the DDP Yoga Performance Center, and motivational messages every Monday from DDP himself. DDP even hosts his own cooking show on the app, showing you how to make healthy food that tastes amazing. So guys, get over to ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Sign up now and you get 15% off plus 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. So head over there. That's ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. and let them know that Wrestling Inc. sent you. Matt, first, with where they're at right now, I wanted to ask you, do you think it was a good idea to split the brand, to have separate brand pay-per-views so early on to what they're doing right now? I
tell you why I like it. I like it because it puts more precedence and more importance on the upper tier matches. Okay, like AJ, like what's going on SmackDown, for instance. AJ's being treated like a main event act right now because of this brand extension. Okay, I don't know if he would be there at this moment in time if we had a conjunctive, overly booked Monday Night Raw with everybody involved, right? That's just my opinion. I get it. I'm excited about that though, because the Dolph Zigglers, the guys that I have always felt should be not upper tier, but main event caliber talent, they're going to get their opportunities. And that's as a fan, I like that. But yes, does it water it down? I mean, is the earlier matches as exciting? No, but they're going to be, because that's what they've been desperately needing to do, was fill that void of the earlier, the lower card tiered matches, and giving these people, like, I hate to say it, the shining stars, people that we once perceived as one thing, a legit opportunity. It's going to take time to get used to. It is. And if those guys don't do what they need to do, they'll be shit canned, and somebody will come up from NXT, and trust me, it will make sense then. When we have Austin Aries on the card, Bobby Roode on the card, Samoa Joe on the card, all these studs on that card, and now the lower tier card is going to look like something like an all-star show versus what it looks like now. Yeah. All right. Well, in my opinion, these people need to keep going and getting their opportunity and keep shit in the bed, excuse my language. They get fired, they get released, something bad happens, and the influx of NXT keeps moving. And because of that whole, on both Raw and SmackDown, because they have enough talent in NXT to do this, and then the incoming NXT class as well, to keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger as far as exciting matches and storylines and angles go.
They need to sign Matt Morgan. That's what I think. You know what's amazing to me is that WWE pretty much owns wrestling now, right? And their rosters are so shallow, whereas you look at WCW in like 97, 98, 99 up against WWF. I mean, you had these two giants, and WCW, their talent pool was so insanely stacked. Why is WWE's talent pool not stacked like that when they can sign anyone that they want?
Different day and age. You had so many veterans that were considered, that were new to a television audience because of Vince being a genius and figuring out how to package them as a new star. Meanwhile, we've seen them time and time again at NWA or other parts of the territory before being brought in to Vince at WWE, or vice versa with WCW. These guys had tons and tons of experience, more than our guys today have. Today, these guys, these I don't want to call them kids, but the talent from today, they have indie experience, but that's not the same as territory experience. Of working the same place over and over and over and over and over again until you get over, and then till you're past your point. Right before you get past your point, you go to a new territory, and you learn a brand new part of the business because it's a different part of the country. It takes different things to get over with those fans, so you're learning. So in my opinion today, the only thing that's close to that is the talent that gets a chance to go over to New Japan on the indie scene. Not just working in these States, but someone like the Young Bucks, for instance. I think they're a great example of this. They get over everywhere they go. They go into every different place possible, and they've gotten themselves over consistently. Kenny Omega as well, and some other guys. I'm telling you, I think the future looks good as hell, in my opinion.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to ask you about TNA. It's kind of like crunch time for TNA. It's like Billy Corgan's not quite yet the owner. He's working on it. Bound for Glory is coming up, and it seems like they need to have their house in order before Bound for Glory if they want to continue.
You think?
What do you think's going on over there?
I'm as much as what you're putting out there, honestly, on your website. I try to keep myself. I try to watch this as a fan now. So when I talk to you, I talk from a wrestler's perspective, but also as a fan's perspective still. But as far as stuff like with TNA and stuff, I don't know how you go and share your most major pay-per-view, with, like you said, your house not in order, not knowing who owns the company, who's gonna own the company. And like, that's not exciting. I'm not excited about that. I'm nervous about that as a fan. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be nervous as a fan. Right. I want to be relaxed when I watch a show, knowing that I'm not wasting my money because these guys and these stars and these championships will be here next month.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. We need them to be successful. We just do. So anybody that's a TNA hater out there, there's no rhyme or reason to do it. Like, we need them to survive. We do. We need another place for the guys to go.
All I can think of is how awesome would wrestling be today is if you had another WCW, someone like breathing down WWE's neck that's really forcing them to put on the best product that they could, as opposed to having them just coast. You know what I mean?
I hate saying this because you're going to say, oh, that's just because you were there at the time. When I was there at TNA, I swear that roster could have done it. That roster of talent that we had, I swear to the Lord, we could have done it. If they just reversed their thinking on stop booking WWE guys to go over on all of us up-and-coming talent. Meanwhile, we've had 10 or 12 years of experience at the time, but we were considered new guys. Me, AJ, Joe. I'll never understand that. We need to talk to Vince about that next time I'm on, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
We had the opportunity. Sorry, we had the opportunity, talent-wise.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit 2 million viewers once, and that's not that far from the level that Raw is at right now. So it was getting up there. It's sad to see, and it looks unlikely, but I hope it happens again. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not holding my breath.
And then there's a rumor. Let me ask you this: you run your own site and everything. Is that true about Vince? Is that true about him possibly wanting to take ownership of it or buy it? Or
no? So it would basically be that they would buy the tape library. If it's basically like if no one else can buy it, put in a real offer, they would buy the tape library. And I think that's where their interest stops. They're not looking to keep TNA going. I mean, it makes no sense for them. They got NXT, which is a lot hotter. So it would just be for the tape library. If they can't figure out the sale, and no one will, and it's going down the tubes, then they'd probably just buy it in a fire sale and get the assets, kind of like they did with ECW.
Yep. Gotcha.
Well, thanks again, Matt. Thanks as always, man. It was great having you. You got anything you want to plug?
No, just same old. My Twitter, Instagram @BB Matt Morgan. Also, October 22nd, I'm doing my men's physique show. I better be ready. I got like 3 3/4 weeks left. So if you see me drinking my jug more than normal on the show, guys, I need it. I need to drink 2.5 gallons a day right now. I can get it in so I can get on stage and crush these midgets.
If everyone's wondering what Matt's doing, eating or drinking during the show, now you know. And we'll be back at like next week. It's like No Mercy or the week after. But join us Wednesday. Myself and Glenn Rubenstein will be taking over the show. Next Monday, Matt will be back with myself. And then the following Sunday, after No Mercy, Matt, myself, and Vince Russo for the post No Mercy podcast. Thanks everyone for joining in, and good night.